This was an excerpt from the cantata Wie schön leuchtet der Morgenstern by Johann Sebastian Bach, BWV 1, played on an oboe da caccia, which is Italian for hunting oboe. This instrument was made by the wonderful Richard Earle. It's a copy of an instrument made by J.H. Eichentopf, who lived and worked in Leipzig at the same time as Bach did. I'm often asked about the peculiar shape of this instrument, and actually there are many theories, but there's no definite answer to this question. Maybe one theory is quite interesting. Leipzig, at the time Eichentopf worked there, which was in the 1720s, was a guild-free city, which meant craftspeople could make whatever they wanted with whatever material they wanted to use. And we know that Eichentopf made both woodwind instruments and brass instruments. And in making this da caccia, he kind of went to town a bit and used three materials. So we have the main body, which is wood, covered in leather, and then he adds this magnificent brass bell to it. And maybe that's how it got its name, because it reminds of the look of the corno da caccia, which is the hunting horn, which also is obviously bent, has a leather-covered middle part, and we see the big brass bell. So it looks a little bit like the hunting horn, but it doesn't sound anything like it. When Nikolaus Harnoncourt recorded Bach's Christmas oratorio and also the cantata Wie schön leuchtet der Morgenstern in 1973, nobody had used these kind of da caccias before. His recording was the first period instrument recording of the piece, and he needed a pair of oboe da caccias for both for the cantata BWV 1 and also for the second cantata of the Christmas oratorio. And luckily he had the incredibly skilled oboist and instrument maker Paul Halperin by his side, who copied two of these wonderful instruments. So one can only imagine how exciting it must have been, not ever having heard this sound before in the 20th century, to all of a sudden having two of these and embarking on recording this beautiful piece. It must have been absolutely amazing, because the originals were unplayable, so nobody knew what they sounded like. Its sound is very soothing, plaintive, and I think slightly enigmatic. Possibly it being curved does something to the sound which mellows it a little bit, but certainly the brass bell gives it a slight silver quality, which to my ears adds that little bit of sadness to the sound, which I love very much. The oboe da caccia was used so much by J.S. Bach in his cantatas and passions that it's rather surprising that it didn't last. We don't know any compositions from the 19th century for the instrument. Very few are still around and are in various museums. So there's a real mystery about this instrument, which makes this instrument really even more special.